Hey everybody, welcome back. Doing something different this time. I love jazz about as much as I love any other genre of music. So this particular presentation is going to be jazz. We're going to have some free jazz, contemporary, just about everything except for smooth jazz. But here we start off with the current set of standards by Billy Vaughn. And here he does some very unusual picks for kind of a jazzy, soundtracky type of album. For example, he's got the Burt Bacharach song, This Guy's in Love with You. But right after that, he has Lullaby from Rosemary's Baby. So it's kind of a treat to listen to this album. It's kind of all over the place. And there he is there. Got this at a thrift store for 50 cents, and it's in perfect condition. Some people just don't know what they have, I guess, but I'm glad I benefited from that. Gary McFarlane Today. It's hard to describe this album, but I'm going to try. Imagine you're watching a movie from the 60s starring Peter Sellers or David Niven. This is this kind of stuff you would hear in the background. It's almost like a joke when you think about movies like Austin Powers, but this is kind of what it is. But it's really groovy. Did I say groovy? It contains 3 Beatles songs on it. Get Back, Michelle, and Because. And actually, a decent version of that, and I also like the cover. A decent version of those. This is a very good album by one of my favorite pianists. This is Chick Corea's The Leprechaun. It's a combination of fusion, free jazz. There's a lot of flute and there's a lot of soaring vocals on it. It's just amazing. If you like Miles Davis's In a Silent Way but with a little lilt to it, you will enjoy this album. It's very conceptual, just very odd, but in a good way. So I would recommend Chick Corea. He also is a very good classical pianist. I'll get to that in some of the presentation. Here we have Jazz Samba Encore with Stan Getz and Louise Bonfa. Stan Getz, of course, I believe plays the tenor sax. Samba is a very beautiful style of jazz. If you remember that song, the girl from Ipanema, you know, that song, he did probably one of the most popular presentations of that song on his album. Coming up, we have Eddie Harris for some good traditional jazz. Here Comes the Judge. Wonderful record, good pressing. I believe this came out in 1964. And once again, jazz albums always contain a lot of notes. Okay, I fell in love with this guy when I first heard him back in '77, working at a record warehouse. This is contemporary jazz, but how do I describe how Michael Franks sings? Can you imagine if you're like in a restaurant or the theater and you're trying to say something to the person next to you, but you don't want no one else to hear what you're saying? This is how he sings. A very cool, whispery type of vocals, but at the same time, that's what gives him so much power. I mean, he is just an amazing vocalist. If you want to listen to an album that will kind of give you a good 101, that would be an album called Birchfield Nines. And there's a song called The Cookie Jar is Empty. It's a great song, and it'll give you an idea of how great Michael Franks is. Also, you may want to listen to an album called Tiger in the Rain and The Art of Tea. Coming up, another great singer and pianist, and everyone knows Nat King Cole. This is the Nat King Cole Trio. And once again, those copious notes, I love it. I don't really need to say too much about Nat King Cole. We're all familiar with his sound and his music. This is something I bought that looks kind of fun. This is Pete Ruggiolo. This is called, Pete Ruggiolo. Sorry, Pete. This is Percussion at Work. And this should have gone into my cheesy covers category, but actually this is a good work of art, the music. If you like jazz percussion, check this out. Yeah, it's Pete Ruggiolo. This is Caracas. I forget the gentleman's first name, but this is the Night Owl. Very good album, contemporary. Just recently discovered him, so I apologize for not having too much information about him, but I will later. This is a great group. This is Weather Report, one of the most fantastic fusion groups out there. They do a version of the song Birdland on this album that is just stunning, and a great lineup of musicians. If you like Spyro Gyra, but you want something a little edgier, check out Weather Report. And they have released a huge amount of records. Okay, we're all over the place with jazz, but that's the way jazz is. There's just so many styles. This is Stephane Grappelli. He I think he released this album when he was 74, but he sounds like he's 24. Just an amazing violinist. Jazz music one thing I love about jazz is any instrument can front a jazz band, and violin is one of them that just has a spectacular sound. This one here is called Just One of Those Things, a collection of standards. So if you want to check that out, this would be the album to start with. Of course, Errol Gardner, Gemini. Woo! Good album. Notes. I'll talk more about Errol Gardner later because I have a lot of his records, and I'll just wait. This isn't jazz, but this is some really good R&B. This is Wild Cherry. They're most popular for the song "Play That Funky Music, White Boy," but this is one of their other albums. Not as well known, but very soulful. I mean, just amazing stuff, and cute cover. When it comes to free jazz, Paul Horn and Nexus is a good place to start. This album here is very percussion friendly. Paul Horn is a flautist. If you like if you like the flute, you may want to check out Herbert Laws. Traditional jazz, we got True Blue by Hank Crawford. Great tenor sax player. And this is the album. Nevermind. Okay, some fusion. This is Sea Level. They've released a lot of albums as well, as does another group called Passport. You might want to check them both out. Art Hodes, this is another style of jazz that we just sometimes don't even think about, and that's ragtime. Art Hodes plays really good ragtime music. He does a few Scott Joplin songs, Chris Maple Leaf Rag, Dr. Jazz, and I found this one at a thrift store for $1, and it's in perfect shape. And here's another great Art, who's also a great artist who plays the piano. I call him Mr. 11 Fingers. Art Tatum. This is a 2-record set, and this is Masterpieces Volume 2. I'm lucky enough to have the box set by him where it's just nothing but him and solo piano, no band. It's just him playing, and I think it was released by Proper Box. This is like one of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen. This is Bill Black's combo, Black with Sugar. Some good jazz standards done here. The woman on the cover, I don't know who she is, but those eyes just jump out at you. And that was first attracting me to the record, but then I listened to it and I fell in love with the music as well. This isn't jazz at all. I think this is R&B. This is Bobby Blue Bland. That's not him on the cover, I'm sure, but it's nice that she showed up. Don't know much about that one. This is Super Sax, plays Bird, Salt Peanuts. I wonder if they meant salty peanuts, but hey, it doesn't matter. All's fair in jazz, and there's the band right there. This was another a flea market find that I didn't have to pay much for. The Ray Charles Singers, Command Performances. I don't think this includes Ray Charles on vocals, but he selected these songs, so I imagine he knew what he was doing, so it's probably going to be good. Some contemporary jazz, Tom Scott. This is Tomcat. Tom Scott and the LA Express backed up Joni Mitchell in her live album, not Miles of Owls, Shadows and Light, maybe Miles of Owls, well, whatever. A great sax player there, Tom Scott. Okay, we're coming down to the last two. This is Amp in Paris. Of course, you know Lionel Hampton, vibraphonist. I was so glad when I found this record because I'd never thought I'd be able to find this vinyl. And then last we have Joe Williams at Newport 63. So there you go. All right, well, that should do it. I hope you enjoy looking at a little jazz albums, and if there's a certain genre of music you'd like for me to highlight, let me know. If you enjoyed this presentation, I'm very grateful, and thanks for showing up.